Welcome to Faith Talks Wood podcast. I'm Will from Flatwood Acres.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Maker.
And we're a podcast that talks about a little bit of everything. Tom, how's it been, man? It feels like it's been weeks since we've chatted.
It's just been busy. You know, needless to say, the moving my mother-in-law up here and all has just changed life. And so for the most part, she's staying over at my wife's sister's house, but right now she's staying at our house. It's kind of I'm not going to call it a 50-50 split. I think she'll stay there more of the time, but the reality is, you know, it's a lot of work. And so they needed some time together and to go. And so we've got her this week, and then I've been trying to get my fields ready to plant. And oh man, dude, it's just so much to do. It's like, God, why did you only make 24 hours in a day? It's how I feel sometimes. But yeah, it's good though. But yeah, it's just, the cool thing is, last weekend, so I think I told you my wife had another sister in North Carolina that passed away. Well, last weekend on Thursday, a week ago, her daughter, husband, and children flew in and stayed from Thursday to Monday with us. And so we had them, and then my wife's sister that lives here, her son, wife, and children came over from Denver. And then, of course, we had them and grandma all at our house, you know. And so it was fantastic. And like the chemo had really taken an effect on Fran, that's grandma. And I had prayed. I was like, prayed every day. I was like, Lord, just let her have an amazing weekend with the grandchildren. And, well, technically, and great-grandchildren. And she did. Like, it was such an amazing weekend where if you didn't know, you almost wouldn't know she was going through chemo and had cancer for like 2 days. And sitting outside in the yard on the blanket, playing a game with the grandkids, and attempting to kick a soccer ball with the great-grandkids. And it was just, it was a great weekend. But that was last weekend. And then this weekend, you know, they just constantly come over so that grandma and just sitting around. And but when we barbecued yesterday and stuff, so it's been good. It's busy and takes time, but it's good, if you know what I mean. It's like on one hand, the back of my mind is like, I need to be doing that, but right now I've got to do this, you know, because the family
you got to be
time.
present. You got to be present in the moment.
Exactly. And so, so today I worked my butt off because yesterday I had planned on doing some stuff when I got home from church, and that I ended up doing today, which technically is what you're supposed to do. You're supposed to take the whole day off, but I was trying to play catch up. And so I came over to church, and then my wife says, they're coming over and we're going to barbecue this. I was like, perfect.
Yeah.
So, you know. But
yeah, it's been busy around here. The weather's finally broke, and so we're no more super cold. It's done. It's gone, and we've been spending more time outside than inside.
Oh, us too. Yeah,
and yeah. So Saturday. So today's Monday as we're recording this. This podcast will come out in 2 days. But Saturday, I was on call for work, so I got to kind of stick around, and can't leave if there's, you know, if somebody locks themselves out or something happens. And that's only till noon. And then my wife went grocery shopping in the morning, and then we went outside, and we didn't come inside until dark almost. Well, it gets dark late, but like till dinner time, late dinner time. And man, we'll laugh because got done with church and I had a meeting after church. And so well, let's back it up to Saturday. Saturday, get done with on call, go outside. I was gonna get the chainsaw. I had some limbs and stuff I wanted to trim. Well, I forgot we took down a big maple tree last fall, and I ran all my chainsaws out of fuel getting that thing cut up. So I didn't have any fuel. Like, okay. Well, I had just enough in my. I have a weed eater that has a pole saw attachment to it, and there was just enough in there that I could get some stuff done. So I went around and trimmed all the low hanging stuff back on the paths and everything, just so when I'm mowing and whatnot, I'm not hitting my head. And then got that done. And then Eli and I went into, no, it's right. He didn't want to go in with me. He wanted to stay back and play basketball, which is fair. So I went in, I got fuel, and I bought a pallet of topsoil because it was on sale, dirt cheap. So
No
I got
pun
that, brought it back, unloaded it with the tractor. But the kids at Home Depot didn't load it with a pallet. They tossed it in the back of my truck. And so I got a pallet and had to unload 30 bags of topsoil. And then Sunday, what we did, so finally got fuel. And by the time we got done with all that and did some other stuff around the property, went for a walk and stuff, and we had some friends come over, I was whooped. Sunday after church, had a meeting. Well, then back in the back part of our property, or the back of the property, but the back part of the field, the original owner had two light poles, telephone poles, full size, massive telephone poles, and they've just been laying back there. And we've always talked about using them to line the parking spot or the driveway so that it helps keep stones in and stuff. And so yesterday, got done with church, got home, and I changed in some dirty clothes, and we went out. My tractor can lift almost 2,000 pounds on the front end. It couldn't budge them telephone poles. You don't realize how heavy telephone poles are. And these are full-size telephone poles, and I don't know if you guys realize, but telephone poles are tapered.
Yep.
So on the bottom end, they're thicker, than they get narrower the further they go up. And so I couldn't budge these things. They were like in the weeds. And so what I did, I couldn't budge it with the front end. So what I did is I took the back blade, I backed the tractor up. I took the back blade and I lowered it down just below the top of the telephone pole that's laying on its side. And I just rolled them out because I couldn't lift them. And so I just rolled them out with the back blade, which I thought was ingenious. My wife kind of gave me the like, oh, that was pretty smart. Every once in a while, a blind squirrel finds a nut, And then when I got them out, I was able to lift one end of them up. And I went down to the small end and I lifted it up and measured out the distance I needed. I needed a 23-foot and a 28-foot section, 2 telephone poles. And so I got the chainsaw out and cut those. And then I thought, well, now that it's only 28 foot, I can probably carry it. Nah, it could, but it was sketchy. It would like the tractor was bouncing. I was like, so I ended up just dragging them.
Yeah.
Because a tractor is really, really, really good at pulling. So like with a back blade, I can move some earth.
Oh yeah.
And I can pull just about anything. And so hooked up and pulled them out and got them in place and stuff. And then today, so buddy at church he calls it a Temu excavator. He bought it at one of them auctions, them like online auctions where they sell like Chinese equipment. And he bought one of these little 1-ton excavators, and it's paid for itself. He bought it several years ago. It's paid for itself over like 10 times because he's done so many jobs with it. And honestly, if I ever thought about getting one, boy, that thing was cool. It was just big enough to where you could dig decent sized stuff, but small enough that he hauled it on his little 12-foot trailer.
Yep.
And so I'm like, But yeah, so he came over and he dug out basically three stumps for us. I was going to rent a grinder, and I need a grinder for some other stuff, stump grinder. But these were kind of easy pickings, if you will. And where the one was at, the way the stump was, the ground was really like humped up around the stump, and I wanted that flat down. And so he dug it out, and then I put the dirt back in it and was able to make it flat with the yard. I still got some work to do on it, but it's gonna rain here for a couple of days. Let that settle, and then tomorrow, I've got 10 yards of dirt getting dropped off, and we need it for several projects around the property. But so yeah, there's a lot been going on. We haven't stopped, man. I got home from work at 6:30. I went inside, changed, wolfed down a few bites of dinner, and then he was already there. So then I went outside. I got my tractor, and as he was getting stumps out and roots, he was putting them in the bucket of the tractor. Then I was taking them over and putting them in the dump pile. So yeah, going. I sent you that picture. I said, I think I'm gonna be a little bit late. It was like right before 8:30. I was like, you know.
So the funny thing is, I was still in the field, and I came in, and I picked up my phone and was going to text you and tell you, hey man, I'm gonna be a few minutes late. I just came in from the field and I got to take a shower, and I saw your message. I was like, yes. I was like, so it worked out perfect.
It's not nice weather. We gotta get stuff done, you know.
Man, it is, but like it's still daylight. If we weren't recording this podcast, I'd still be outside working. You know.
Yeah, it's just getting dark here. Like dark enough where you can't be out there. So,
Yeah.
but it's also 9:35 here.
Yeah.
You know.
Exactly.
But yeah, so got lots of stuff done. The raised garden beds. Once we get the dirt delivered, I got all that topsoil for that. So we'll be able to fill up about 4 inches short of the top, and then we'll fill the rest up with topsoil. Yeah, we're getting stuff done. My wife's excited to plant some stuff, get some, it'd be small. Did I send you the picture of both of them complete?
Yeah, you did. It looked good, man.
Yeah. So, yeah, we're getting there. But yeah, so all right, man. Well, you had sent me a bunch of scripture. And truth be told, I got done. I came in, I ate something again real quick, and then I came in here and I read through all the scripture because I hadn't had a chance to. So I'm excited to hear your thoughts and what the Lord's placed on your heart. So what you got to talk about?
Very cool. All right. So we're going to do something a little different. I'm going to read 4 different passages, and then we're going to talk about it. So kind of the question is, if you're listening to this podcast, you already know the answer is, does God perform miracles? And I think most of you listening, the answer is yes. Some of you, maybe God's performed a miracle in your life, and you could be a testimony of that. Maybe you've seen him perform a miracle in somebody else's life. But the question is about how does he go about doing it and when? What's his timing? How does he go about it? And can we predict it? No, we cannot predict it. But I'll go ahead and answer that. But I've just been praying for a lot of stuff over the last few weeks. And if you listened to a podcast a few weeks ago, just had been in this spell of feeling like God was distant, like I wasn't close to him, couldn't hear his voice. And praise God, I have broke through that. And the key to that is when you go through that spell, and all of us do. I think I've even talked to pastors that have gone through it where they have those moments. And the key is still getting up and reading your Bible, still getting up and praying, still pursuing God trying to talk to him, trying to listen to him, even when you feel like you can't, because eventually you'll hear him again. And sometimes I think he wants us to just keep pursuing. And so I've been asking bunches of questions, and in the process, I've been also reading through the Gospels, and one of the passages was about God healing the blind man. But there's multiple stories of Jesus healing a blind man. So we're going to read 4 passages about 5 blind men that got healed. So the first one is Matthew 9, verse 27 through 31. And after I read all 4, then I'm going to go back and kind of talk about the differences in each one. So first one, and I'm in the ESV today. Doesn't really matter which version you're in, but Matthew 9, 27 through 31. And as Jesus passed on from there, 2 blind men followed him, crying aloud, "Have mercy on us, Son of David." When he entered the house, the blind men came to him, and Jesus said to them, "Do you believe that I am able to do this?" They said to him, "Yes, Lord." Then he touched their eyes, saying, "According to your faith, be it done to you." And their eyes were open, and Jesus sternly warned them, "See that no one knows about it." But they went away and spread his fame throughout all the district. All right, the second time that we hear about Jesus healing a blind man is in Mark chapter 8, verses 22 through 36. And so let me flip over here. All right, so Mark 8, verses 22 through 36. And they came to Bethesda, and some people brought to him a blind man and begged him to touch him. And he took the blind man by the hand and led him out of the village. And when he had spit on his eyes and laid his hands on him, he asked him, "Do you see anything?" And he looked up and said, "I see people, but they look like trees walking." Then Jesus laid his hands on his eyes again, and his eyes opened. His sight was restored, and he saw everything clearly, and sent him to his home, saying, "Do not even enter the village." The third time that we hear about it is also in Mark, but in chapter 10, verses 46 through 52. And they came to Jericho, and as he was leaving Jericho with his disciples and a great crowd, Bartimaeus, a blind beggar, the son of Timaeus, was sitting by the roadside. And when he heard that it was Jesus of Nazareth, he began to cry out and say, "Jesus, Son of David, have mercy on me." And many rebuked him, telling him to be silent. But he cried out all the more, "Son of David, have mercy on me." And Jesus stopped and said, "Call him." And they called the blind man, saying to him, "Take heart, get up, he is calling you." And throwing off his cloak, he sprang up, came to Jesus, and Jesus said to him, "What do you want me to do for you?" And the blind man said to him, "Rabbi, let me recover my sight." And Jesus said to him, "Go your way, your faith has made you well." And immediately he recovered his sight and followed him on the way. And the fourth time in the Gospels where we hear about Jesus healing a blind man is in John chapter 9, verses 1 through 6. As he passed by, he saw a man blind from birth. And his disciples asked him, "Rabbi, who sinned, this man or his parents, that he was born blind?" Jesus answered, "It was not that this man sinned or his parents, but that the works of God might be displayed in him. We must work the works of him who sent me while it is still day. Night is coming when no one can work. As long as I am in the world, I am the light of the world." Having said these things, he spit on the ground and made mud with saliva. Then he anointed the man's eyes with the mud and said to him, "Go wash in the pool of Siloam," which means sent. And so he went and washed and came back seeing. So the thing that I find interesting in all of these stories, a blind man was healed, or in case of the first story, 2 blind men were healed. But yet all of them were healed in a different way. And let's start with the first one, which is probably one of my favorite. And the reason being, you got 2 blind men. They're following and together, and they ask for mercy, and they yell out to Jesus. And what I like so much about this is I try to put myself in the shoes of the blind man. I'm like, here's 2 guys, they can't see, but like, hey, I believe Jesus can heal me. I do too. All right, let's go after Jesus together. What's that sound like? A men's group? Let's go chase after Jesus together, and he can perform a miracle in us. But, here's 2 blind guys that can't see, but they're leaning on one another, helping each other to get to Jesus. And then, of course, Jesus touched their eyes. So this is the other thing I found interesting. Each of them was healed a little different. So in this one, he touched their eyes and said, according to the faith, it be done, and they were healed. The one in Mark 8:22 through 26, some people brought a blind man to Jesus. So in the first one, 2 guys were pursuing after Jesus. In this one, some people brought him. So what's that sound like? Sometimes we got to go out and minister and bring people to Jesus for him to be healed. Sometimes people are chasing after Jesus themselves. They don't need our help. But in this instance, this blind man needed some people's help to get to Jesus. And so they brought him to Jesus. And this time, Jesus spits on his eyes. And so you might ask yourself, like I did, well, if he just touched their eyes the first time, why didn't he just touch them again? I don't know the answer to that, other than God is creative, and he can do the same thing in a million different ways that we can never imagine. So he spit on his eyes, laid his hands on his eyes, and the guy's healed. And so it's just fascinating to me that 2 different scenarios there. One, some people chasing after Jesus. The next one, some people bringing God Jesus, and Jesus heals them with the same healing, the same miracle of giving their sight back in 2 different ways. The third time, in Mark 10:46 through 52, a blind man cries out. This one's interesting. He cries out, and the people tell him to be quiet. What's that sound like? The world we live in today? Crying out for Jesus. But he said, no, I'm going to keep crying out. Lord, have mercy on me. Have mercy on me. And then in this scenario, Jesus did not touch his eyes. Jesus did not spit on his eyes. Jesus just spoke and said he was healed. So just his words. So a third different way that he created the same identical miracle of giving a blind man his sight. And the fourth one, down in John 9, Jesus and his disciples passed by a person that was just sitting there. And so this one's very interesting to me, because this guy did not it didn't tell us that he was crying out. He didn't ask for anything. They just happened to notice him. And then Jesus spit on dirt, made mud, and then put mud on his eyes and told him to go wash in the pool of Siloam. And then when he came back, he had his sight. So why, if he was able to spit on the other guy's eyes, why did this time he spit on dirt, make mud, and put it on his eyes and tell him to go wash in the Siloam? As I read this one, it reminds me of baptism. This guy wasn't crying out, but God spit on the dirt, put it on his eyes, and to me, going and washing in the pool, he goes in dirty, can't see, and he comes up out of the water cleansed and with sight, a new life to him, which kind of, to me, symbolizes baptism for us. We go in, and baptism is a symbol of what happens in our heart, but we go into that water filthy, dirty, people needing healing, and we come out with a new life. And so I just find it very interesting, all these different passages. And I asked God, I was like, why didn't you, heal them all the same way? He was like, oh, I could do it a million more times different. And he was like, and it reminded me of the passage that says, my thoughts are higher than your thoughts, my ways are higher than your ways. And so it just, I don't know, just brought joy to my heart as I don't know what, I had finished John, and I'm in Acts now, but I remembered, and then I went back and I was like, wait, that's not how he healed him last time. So I went back and read all the different ones. And then, man, like when I've been riding on the tractor, it's like God's just been speaking to me through these passages. Like I'm just blown away. So what are your thoughts on all this, Will?
I've got a funny blind person story, but I'll tell that after. Yeah, there's a lot here. It's interesting because there is, 4 different ways, 4 different scenarios. I think they all kind of relate to the same thing, and it's all a physical thing that is a spiritual reality, right? Of being blind and now you see. And the last one in John is interesting because, like, who sinned? Who sinned that this would happen? And Jesus is like, where is that at? That was John 9.
Yeah, 1 through 6.
Yep. Neither this man or his parents have sinned, but this was so that the works of God may be manifested in him. So sometimes God heals because, well, he's God, and it shows the power that's manifest within him. But it's interesting. So, like the first one in Matthew is the persistence, right? The persistence of asking God to heal, right? And then the second one, it's interesting. That one's interesting because he heals him once, and the guy, it's shadows. He sees like people like trees.
Yep.
That makes me think of a progressive, right? Sometimes our salvation isn't right now. It's the sanctification process takes time. And so, sometimes we need slapped twice. You know what I mean? And so, sometimes healing is a process. And the same healing physically and spiritually. Mark 10. Let me get back to that. Mark 10.
It's another one where he was persistent and everybody was telling him to be quiet, but he just kept calling out to Jesus.
Yeah. So he's bold, right? The idea of being bold and having action. It's one thing to talk. You can talk, but are you going to actually do something? And everybody's telling him to be quiet. He's like, no, this is the Lord. This is Yahweh. I know this is real. And then, like I said in John 9, sometimes there's a purpose for suffering. Sometimes we don't understand it. This past Sunday, in my group that I teach, Sunday school, I taught on the faithfulness of God, the attribute that God is faithful. And, I posed the question to my class. I said, how does it make you feel in times of suffering to know that God is faithful? What does that make you feel? The reality is that when we know that he's faithful, we can rest and know that there's a purpose behind what he's doing, and that his promises ring true, and that he says he will, whatever he says he will do, he will do. And the song "Great Is Thy Faithfulness," an old hymn, great is thy faithfulness, man. And that comes out of Lamentations chapter 3. If you want to get old school, Lamentations after Jeremiah. So Lamentations 3. Oh, where was that? Here it is. The loving kindness, verse 22, the loving kindness of Yahweh indeed never ceases, for his compassions never fail. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. Yahweh is my portion, says my soul. Therefore, I wait for him. This is happening. This is Jeremiah writing the book of Lamentations after Israel was destroyed, absolutely in ruins. And Lamentations chapter 3, verse 1, he says, I am the man who has seen affliction because of the rod of his wrath. So sometimes we wonder, well, why does this happen? Why do these bad things happen? Okay, so you turn back to Deuteronomy 28. If you ever read Deuteronomy 28, you know that God says, if you follow me, if you follow my commandments, I'll give you portion over portion. I will give you your crops will you'll have abundance. All of this stuff, right, goes through. Well, then halfway through Deuteronomy 28, it flips. Well, here's what happens if you don't follow my commandments. And so Lamentations, Jeremiah is writing from this place of knowing it's happening because God said it would happen, because there was a judgment. And so, in times of healing, when we're questioning what's going to happen, I'm not saying that God said that you're going to be sick, but there's sin in the world. And sometimes we don't have an answer right away. And sometimes the answer that we're looking for isn't the answer that God's going to give us. And so, anywho, there's good stuff, lots here. There's a lot of analogy, a lot you could take from the sight, the spiritual blindness. But yeah, good stuff. Good parallel. Good seeing the parallel and drawing from it. So it was really good.
It's I tell you, I just want to say, if there's anybody like me that was having that spell, and it's I don't know why I was feeling distant and like felt like I couldn't hear God's voice. Just keep getting up and reading the Word. Just don't stop praying. And ironically, through all this, so I get up in the morning, brush my teeth, go to the bathroom, all that stuff, make coffee, and then I put on my headphones and praise music, and I listen to praise music while I stretch and all, and then after that I'll pray. And there's a song that popped up in my feed that I've heard it many, many times, but I know that it popped up because God wanted me to hear it right now. It's a song by Mercy Me called Even If. And I'm just going to read the chorus because this is so powerful. It says, I know you're able and I know you can save through the fire with your mighty hand. But even if you don't, my hope is you alone. I know the sorrow and I know the hurt would all go away if you just say the word, but even if you don't, my hope is you alone. And so when you're waiting on the answer and you're just wondering why is my family member having to go through chemo? Why? Whatever it is, doesn't matter what that question is, just keep trusting and keep in the word and keep praying.
Absolutely. Good stuff. Now, not to change the mood, the attitude here, the what we got, but I got a funny blind person story. So at work, our break room, so my office is on the second floor and our break room is on the second floor. And the building is all glass, fancy, And so where I usually sit when I'm eating my lunch is right next to the window. You can see out into the city of Erie. And unfortunately, like a lot of, Erie's not huge, but a lot of cities, there's homeless and there's characters. There's a lot of interesting people. Um, there's two things that happened the same right in this like 5 minutes of each other. This half naked guy went running down the middle of the road as if somebody was chasing him, kept looking behind him, but there was nobody behind him. And so maybe there's an analogy there, but why are you running if nobody chasing you? So anyways, but then I look over and across the street, there's a blind lady with her stick, doing the thing where you walk and where they walk and they're, feeling in front of them to, whatever. And I'm looking at her. I'm like, wait a second. She done texting on her phone, looking down at her phone while she's acting like she's blind.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, she's like actively texting something. Now, maybe there's something, I don't know, but it was a smartphone. I could see it. And she was done doing something while she was walking. And I'm like, are you really blind? I don't know. But interesting, I was telling a guy I work with that story, and he said that years ago he had a customer come in, two legally blind people. They were married, and they came in and they had a sight dog with them, like a German Shepherd. And the guy had this bowl that was like a pop-out bowl. You could put water in, give the dog water. And so he takes the dog out in the lobby, straight out from the office, and puts the bowl down to give the dog some water. And my buddy said, the guy's blind. Like him and his wife both are blind. And he puts the bowl down and puts water in the bowl. The dog doesn't want to drink any of it. And so the guy looks up at my buddy that I work with and shrugs his shoulders. My buddy looks at him sideways and waves his hand at him like this, and the guy waves back. And he's like, you son of a... He's like, so this whole time he's been doing these special measures because he was a lender to help them with their loan. And the guy could see him. He said he was like 20 feet away from me, and he saw me and like waved back at me. Anyways.
Man,
I digress.
Yeah,
but
that's sad. But speaking on a positive story of a blind person, if any of you do not follow the Blind Woodsman, go on Instagram, go on YouTube, and I think, does he have a YouTube channel? I don't think he has YouTube. It's just on Instagram I follow him. But there's a guy. He lives up in either Oregon or Washington State. I can't remember. Somewhere up there in the Pacific Northwest. And he's blind and he wood turns. He does everything off of feel. And he's a Christian. And it's phenomenal. And it's kind of like back to that last story in John where he said, nobody sinned. It was just so that God could be glorified. And that makes me think of him because, I know a lot of wood turners. We've had several of them on this podcast. They all have great stories. But this dude has been on all kind of news networks and TV shows and all because he's blind. And like he literally, you watch him, he feels, and then he turns bowls that are beautiful. He can't see them, but it's all off of feel. And his wife can see. But yeah, go check him out. Phenomenal. He's a Christian. But I reached out. I never got a response, see if we could get him on the podcast, but he's got a ton of followers and everything. But it's all because he turns this amazing stuff and he's blind. Yeah.
Interesting.
Yep. Very cool.
Huh. Good stuff. Yeah. Anything else been going on around the farm? So what you said you're planting. What are you planting?
So I'm trying to get my pastures established so I can get animals on them. And so this land was pretty barren, just covered in weeds. And so it just takes time and takes money. And so I've got the irrigation in for the whole pastures. And so I just seeded 4 acres and fertilized 4 acres. So I am hoping by the end of the summer, I've got one little section I'd already done. It's a small section, and I've got one more little section to do. So I'm hoping by the end of summer, I've got 7 acres of pasture, and I'd like to get some sheep and get started raising some sheep, and then have a bigger area for our chickens. So.
Yeah. If you ever have any questions about it, a buddy of mine is a sheep farmer, and he's got 100 and something head, couple hundred, 300 head or something.
Yeah, it's gonna be a learning experience for me because I have no experience, but I also know that I can learn anything. So my goal is to start off with maybe like 3 or 4 ewes, and then get a ram. But
and then you're gonna do them to take them and sell them at the auction kind of thing.
No, I want to raise them to, butcher.
Yeah, right.
To eat.
Because that people, I don't know in your area, but different cultures love buying sheep.
Yeah,
like meat, like it's insane.
I love lamb. I think it's delicious.
I've never had it.
Really? You never had lamb chops?
No.
Oh man,
no.
Yeah. It's
no.
So.
Yeah, I've got nothing but a big mud pit here at my place. It's just, you've got to do tractor work. I'm not going to not do tractor work because the ground's soft. And so, yeah.
If I had as much
get a
land
roller.
as
I don't have a roller.
I'd get some cattle.
What was that?
If I had as much land as you, I'd get some cattle. And I technically could do a few cows on my land, but so.
Yeah, we've talked about it. Our back field, half of it is really, really, really the old man who lived here before us, who passed away years ago, tried to till it up, and it is just a mess. I mean, it's an ankle breaker. Like big ruts just all down through the one half of it. And then the other half is better. You could probably get that side looking fairly good, but yeah, I don't know. We've talked about getting a couple head of cow at some point. Just not priority right now at this point, but yeah. So.
Yep. I know what you mean. And that's why it's taken me so long. 'Cause it's like, it's this far down on the pecking order. So, but that is my mission this year, is to get the pasture established really well so I could put some sheep on there. So
yeah. Now, did you till it up or anything, or you just overseeding it?
Well, I just took my landscape rake and just enough to disturb the dirt on top, and I didn't. I don't have a disc or anything, and so but just enough to loosen the dirt. We have this loamy soil, and in the wintertime, it loosens up. In the summertime, it's hard as a rock. So I did that, spread the seed and fertilizer, and then I have a piece of old wire fence, and I made a drag net, and I just drag it back over, and it puts a little dirt on top, and we're supposed to get a lot of rain tomorrow. And if we don't get that rain, I'll start irrigating. So that's what I'm hoping. Hopefully in 2 weeks, I tell you, man, you can see the field popping up.
Yeah. That'll be good. You like the landscape rake? I've thought about getting one of those.
I wouldn't get one. I'll be honest with
No.
you. Like when I bought mine, they had a package where you got and the box blade. Like I've used the box blade, but now I'm gonna sell mine, sell it cheap. I don't have any more dirt to move, and I got a
Oh,
I got a land plane, and that thing's
I've
the
heard
bomb.
those are nice.
That's the bomb diggity. Yes, I love it. So but the landscape rake is one of those things you just use occasionally. Like if I had to do over again, I wouldn't have bought one. But
Right.
so
Well, if I live close, I'd buy the box blade from you, but
yeah, it'd be a little
it'd
bit
be hard to get here.
expensive to ship over there. But
Yeah,
the
no
box
kidding.
blade is awesome when you have a need for moving dirt. It works awesome.
Right.
But I have everything I need to do with it is done now. And so now I'm like, I don't see myself needing that anymore. I don't have any more.
Now, does yours have the hooks you can spin around to dig in?
Yeah. Yep.
You ever seen a? But yeah, okay.
Yep,
You can
yep.
flip the.
Yep. And
Yep.
break up the soil down below. Yeah. And
Yeah.
they come in handy.
I've just got a back blade, just a normal back blade. I can turn it, different
Yeah.
angles and stuff.
See, I wish
And
I
even
had
that's
one of
pretty
them.
nice.
Yeah, I wish I had one of them.
Yeah, because it's nice. Like I use it in the winter to, drag, snow with, work great. But you can also, moving dirt, you can pull mounds, you can do all kinds of stuff flat and get nice grade. And so I used that tonight as I was, there's big holes where we dug these stumps out, pushing dirt back in and going back over it and
yeah.
all
And
that.
you'll find after you get a good rain, you'll have to add a bunch more dirt in that hole because you got to know that the volume of the stump
that ball is huge.
It's gone. And so that dirt will compact back down. You'll have to do it 3 or 4 times. Every time it rains, it'll settle a little more. And then eventually you get it where it's nice and flush. But
yeah, and that's where I got 10 yard of dirt coming, and I'll probably have to get 1 or 2 more of them loads, I'm sure, this summer. So and he's only charging me like $200 to bring that and deliver it.
yeah,
Like,
it's not bad. Well, the dirt's cheap. He's just charging for the haul. Like
right. Yeah. So, anywho, well, you say that, but I called one place. There's several places around us. One guy, he wanted $800
what?
for a triaxle load of dirt. Yeah, it was insane. The other place wanted $600, and then this guy's local. He lives in our town, and he's kind of the local guy. Well, you can never get a hold of him. He works a lot, and it's hard to get a hold of him. Well, you don't call him, you text him. He's much better at texting, I found. And so, yeah, now I've texted him, and he's gonna, if tomorrow's decent, he's gonna bring a load of dirt for us, and I'm probably gonna need some more from him. But the priorities with the dirt is gonna be raised garden beds, get those up so that I can put topsoil on, and then these holes where we have the stumps. And my next round will be, my property, I have 25 acres and it's all flat. I got no hills. I can't dig nowhere. And I got no place. I don't have a good place to even take dirt from because of the way our property is.
Huh.
And so I'm like, I wish I had like a mound, like a hill or something I could just dig into and take dirt from. But, oh well. Can't have it all, I guess.
All right. Well,
So,
I'm going to go in there and eat some dinner, man.
Yeah, I'm going to go, I don't know, probably go shower, although I could take a snack. You get out and you get working up and off the tractor, moving stuff around. It's like you burn them calories. I'm not on a diet really. I gave up all sweets and pop and everything. I've probably lost 10 pounds in the last week.
Oh wow!
Just because I was drinking like 3 pops a day. It was bad.
Yeah.
And so, or soda or Coke, wherever you live. I don't know, whatever you call it. We call it pop up here. And so I've been drinking at least roughly 84 ounces of water a day. if not more. So just trying to keep that, and yeah, been feeling good. So, but the calorie thing, it's like I'm not eating all that sugar. So like, having a small bowl of Cheerios or something sounds good.
Well, I'm gonna go have a chicken salad. So.
There you go. Well, it was good, man. Until next week, I'm Will from Flatwood Acres.
And I'm Tom from Mountain Valley Baker.